The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Jess Navarez, Aisha Morrison, Kelsey Charles, and Jane Slater.
All right. Well, good afternoon, Cowboys Nation. Welcome back to another episode of Girls Talk, Boys Talk, brought to you by Jigsaw, the official dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, today I am joined by Aisha Morrison, our go-to gal, and then we have a new face for the first time on the Girls Talk, Boys Talk podcast who you're going to see a lot of. So we wanted to introduce her, Hayley Sutton, a team reporter for the Dallas Cowboys. Hayley, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have you and learn all about you. So before we get talking about all things Dallas Cowboy, please tell us a little about yourself, how you got back to Dallas, and everything to know about you.
Yeah, first of all, thanks so much for having me. It's so fun being on with some knowledgeable girlies, so I'm so excited to chat Cowboys with you ladies. Like you mentioned, getting back to Dallas. I just moved here from Miami literally 2 weeks ago. I was a weekend sports anchor and reporter in Miami for a television station. But like you said, I'm originally from the Dallas area. I grew up right down the road in Red Oak, Texas. So that is kind of my hometown. My first job in TV was actually in Great Falls, Montana, and I love telling people that because that's always their reaction.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, so I spent a couple years living in Montana. From Montana, I went to Alabama. I covered Auburn and, of course, the Crimson Tide, a couple national championships for them. And then I was in Miami, and now I'm back here, and I'm so excited to be back home. There's nothing like being back in Dallas.
Oh,
okay,
that's
so
amazing.
What's the first food you got when you got back here?
I haven't had a chance to really do any eating because, we literally moved
Getting ready
last week, and then we got in on Friday, and then I started on Monday. So I really I'm just swimming right now.
Oh, that's amazing. And, coming from a local market myself, it is definitely so much different than people think it is working in local news. But, oh, man, we're so excited to have you here. So Hayley's actually going to take over our host spot today. And like I said, you're going to see a lot of her here on the Girls Talk, Boys Talk podcast. So, Hayley, let's kick it off. What are we starting with today, my friend?
Yeah, let's go ahead and just start it off, I think, where everybody has been talking the injury update. We just got that a couple minutes ago. It was tweeted out. So a couple of quick things. Nothing really changed as far as Micah. He was out again today, battling a sickness. Mike McCarthy did say today that it's nothing to be concerned about, kind of seasonal cold. So he did not practice. He did not speak. Of course, Dak is still out battling that thumb injury. The stitches are still in his hand as far as we know. Dalton, still day-to-day. He did practice a little bit yesterday, but Mike really emphasized him being a game-time decision, and the Sunday practice will determine both he and Jason Peters.
Oh.
So that's something to keep an eye out
Tater
on.
tots.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Not
a good
the
update.
JT too.
And then some new guys, or a new guy rather, on the list. Quentin Bohanna was limited today with a neck injury. Trayvon Diggs was back on the practice field.
That's a big deal. The Quentin Bohanna thing is kind of a big deal for me, just because I think that he's played really well last game, especially taking on those double teams and stuff. So I was really looking for. He was actually one of my key matchups this game. So dang it, Hayley. Okay.
Sorry to burst your
I'm sorry to hurt your feelings.
First day, and I'm already hurting your feelings.
No, it's okay. No. So other than, the obvious that we had talked about, Mike McCarthy also touched base on Jaron Kerr saying that he was not participating at all in practice this morning.
Yeah, I did miss that. Good call.
So, yeah, just I don't think anything really other than the Quinn Bohanna one was other than expected. But, Hayley, I want to ask you, what have you seen? Because, again, she is here. She has boots on the ground at all times. So what have you seen really in terms of these players being back on the field and how they're slowly integrated in after, injuries? And specifically, I guess my question is with Jason Peters, who's not injured, but he's in his ramp up, and Dalton Schultz, who's coming off of that injury. What have you seen specifically with them?
Yeah, I know for sure with Jason Peters, he has kind of just been all over the place. Like you talk about boots on the ground, his boots are all over the ground as he just tries to, I think, just get back in the groove of being an NFL guy. I think when you're at that age and you're a little bit more weathered than maybe some of these younger guys, it's going to take you a second to get reacclimated to football and acclimated to a new team. And so he's kind of been bouncing around between guard and tackle. We still don't know necessarily where he's going to play. I think they're leaning more towards keeping him at guard, but, with this offensive line being so young, you can't predict, where he's going to be. But I think it's just knocking the rust off is what Mike McCarthy told us earlier today in the press conference, just getting him in the groove. He said he didn't want to have, a young guy playing tackle like Tyler Smith, and then also having a guard who's maybe still getting used to what this Cowboys offensive line looks like. So I think with Jason Peters, he's really just trying to get reacclimated and learn the Dallas way as opposed to what he's done for his whole career.
Yeah. And how about Dalton Schultz? Have you seen him doing any work on the field? How is that really? Have you seen anything from him? I mean, I think, week one, he was such a clutch guy for Dak. And I think week two, he kind of faded out a little bit. But Noah Brown, stepped up to become the receiver. And I think when it comes to Dalton Schultz, it's his pass pro and just so many other things that he brings that's important. So have you seen him practicing or participating in practice? What have you noticed?
Yeah, I missed practice today because I was running all over the place, still trying to get acclimated to working in this building.
It's a beautiful building.
It is, and I feel like I've seen so much of it this week. I did see him at practice yesterday. He was on the sidelines kind of just doing individual drills with the athletic training staff. But like I said earlier, Mike McCarthy, I think, is really trying to keep his cards close to his chest when it comes to these guys, but he keeps emphasizing that Sunday's practice will be a make or a break kind of day for guys like Dalton Schultz, and he threw in Jason Peters' name in there as well. So no guarantee that they play, but I can imagine that you will see some Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot kind of stepping into that role.
Yeah.
Because even if Dalton goes on Monday, I don't anticipate him taking all the snaps.
And we've talked about the fact that it's what sounds like a PCL situation, kind of similar to Zeke. I would assume that with like a tight end, I'm not sure, but like he's not cutting as hard as like a running back would be having to do. So I understand them kind of being like, because I was like, when they first announced it, I was like, okay, PCL, like. I didn't think he's going to be playing this week or anything, but I do think they are in a unique situation where we do have to sit up here and say, like, these young tight ends have put out some good tape. And I, for one, am excited to see what they do against this Giants defense, just because I think that you can find some favorable matchups with their linebackers as well. So hopefully Peyton and Jake Ferguson get busy this week.
Yeah, you kind of hope, especially for guys who are the rookies,
and they've stepped up.
Yeah,
they've stepped up in the opportunities they've had. So, and honestly, too, if you look at how Dallas tight ends play against the Giants, like they typically have some success. So let's go do it. Let's go do it, y'all.
Also, I wanted to mention the Giants injury report, and No C actually tweeted this out, 32 minutes ago. So this is today's injury report. So somebody that I really wanted to get into on this episode, because me personally, hearing the locker room interview that he had about Micah, that was Kevon Tibato, and he was limited at practice today. So he's still kind of questionable to whether or not he's actually going to play on Monday. I think it's kind of a similar situation to what we're seeing with Schultz and Peters, and that they won't know until they know come Sunday. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Aisha, I wanted to ask you, would this really change the, defensive scheme with Thibodeau in if he is able to play, and how? What would the biggest threat of having him in do for the Cowboys?
So the difference is, Thibodeau's coming off of a injury?
A knee injury.
A knee injury,
yeah.
Right? So I'm sure they're going to be slow playing him. He's going to have limited snaps or whatever. But when he does get opportunities, when you look at the Giants and what they do schematically, defensively, they're really having trouble getting pressure, just rushing their four. They're having to bring other guys, like a cornerback blitz, sometimes a safety blitz, depending on the day. Like, they're having to bring extra rushers. So that's allowing, the blitz to be open there. Like, so hopefully Cooper Rush can take advantage of that. However, and also, too, Wink is having to disguise so many different things just to get open looks for guys and just to get open and free rushers. When you start talking about a Kevon Tibato who can win a one-on-one matchup on his own, that allows them to just drop those DBs and covers, and they can do what they want to do. And you've seen the Cowboys have trouble with that. So we'll see what they do in response to that. I said yesterday I wasn't sure he's going to play, but, like, it sounds like the game time decision, maybe there's some gamesmanship going on here, too, because it does. I'm glad that you asked that, because me personally, I do think that it kind of would change some of the things that they do on those third downs, which they're good at, like rushing. Like, so we'll see.
And what's interesting is Mike McCarthy was asked about Thibodeau in this morning's press conference, and he was asked specifically, how would this change y'all's, game plan going into everything? And his answer was very generic and, hey, we don't plan for just one person kind of thing. But I really think it's interesting in the fact that you see this side of football and they're not going to lay all their cards out there. You kind of still have to have a poker face. So if anything that the Giants have to their advantage right now, it's not saying whether he's going to play or not. And so on the other side of the ball for them, Kadarius Toney, he actually didn't participate in practice today. So he's coming off of a hamstring injury.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal because during the first 2 games, he was a guy that really got the ball a lot. And so that's really what I wanted to mention on that side of the injury report. But Hayley, I wanted to ask you, what is something that you're looking for specifically for the Cowboys going into this game, whether it's offensively, defensively, with the special teams? What is the one thing you're really going to hone in on and see if, 1, there was improvement from last week, or 2, it's improvement that they've needed for quite a while now?
Yeah, I'm definitely paying attention to the defensive side of the ball. I feel like we talk so much about this offense. I think I referred to them as the offense right now is just a Band-Aid, right? It's temporary while we work to get, our Dak Prescotts and our Michael Gallups back and our Dalton Schultz now back into the game. So I think there's only so much you can say about the offense at this point. But really, I'm paying attention to the defense, specifically when it comes to Daniel Jones. This is a guy who has kind of been known to make a lot of mistakes, right? He's thrown a lot of interceptions. He's already been sacked 8 times this season. And so I'm really paying attention to how quickly can guys like Michael Parsons get to Daniel Jones? Like, how can we frustrate him? Because that limits really what they can do in the air. They've been shown this season to not be doing very well through the air, and they're relying on that run with Saquon Barkley. So I think this is a chess match in the sense of both of these offenses are trying to rely on the run, right? So I want to see how well and how quickly and how often this defensive line for the Cowboys can really dominate Daniel Jones quickly, because I think I heard Patrick say it earlier in the week, it's the first to 20 who wins this game. It's not going to be a very high-scoring affair. So if you can limit what Daniel Jones is doing with the ball, I think that gives Cooper Rush a little bit more breathing room when it comes to orchestrating scoring touchdown drives.
And you mentioned a name thrown in that mix. Someone you may know is Michael Gallup. He had another full day of practice today.
Yes.
So that is good to see. And, we are just keeping our fingers and our toes crossed that we see him play Monday. Aisha, do you think we're going to see a Michael Gallup?
I mean, Mike McCarthy
with a few
spilled
reps?
the beans.
I know. I was just ready to say Mike already told us.
He did.
Y'all.
He told us without telling us, right?
I mean, but that lets you. It actually kind of let me see how excited he is for the return of Michael Gallup. And actually, when you like Michael Gallup, we've talked about it. He's a fantastic person. Like, I've obviously never gotten the opportunity to speak to him, but just hearing all the good things about him, and also hearing about how much work he put in to be back on this field. This is also a unique opportunity for him, because I feel like the Cowboys have been very top heavy in the receiver room for the last couple years when he was there. And you would mention Coop and CD, and then Michael Gallup, right? And so I'm excited for him to get the opportunity to show how versatile of a player he is and receiver he is, because Michael Gallup really is a guy that can play everywhere. Like, he can really play everywhere. So getting him back is going to have some type of, change on the game. I know he's going to be on a limited snap count.
Yeah.
But there's some respect that he gets stepping on that field, and I'm hoping that as he continues to gain that, like as he gets healthy, that those DBs kind of stop rolling all that coverage to CeeDee Lamb's side,
I love that you mentioned CeeDee Lamb there as well, because he was one of the guys we got to speak to outside of the locker room just about an hour ago. And the first question that was asked is, how excited are you to get Michael back? And you could just see
he's gushing.
He's just lighting up, and how excited he is to have not only CeeDee Lamb as the wide receiver, but CeeDee Lamb as his friend, as his brother. And I asked him too, I said, football aside, how much of a mentor has he been to you? How much has he really guided you? And it was so interesting, because this is a guy who's been in the league for a minute versus a guy who's just kind of getting acclimated to being the guy in a league, right? And just the way he spoke about that relationship, he said, we've done a really good job of pushing one another. Right now, Michael's in a rut. He's trying to get back to that place where he knows that he's Michael Gallup, MG13. And so we're doing a really good job of encouraging him and reminding him. But when I was new to the league, Michael was that guy for me. Michael was the guy who was able to encourage me.
Oh, Lordy.
And so,
That's
it's
amazing.
just,
Lordy.
I know, right? Right? It's so cool when you have, that's what makes, I think, this return for Michael Gallup on Monday so much more special.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about, the touchdowns. He may score, he may not, but it's more of just like the journey of this guy who's been dealt some really difficult
the last couple of
injuries
years.
last couple of years.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, and he was on a roll before that injury. Michael Gallup was putting on some good numbers even before. So I think it definitely comes down to what they decide to do with him, how they decide to plug him in, and how much, I guess, at first. Because, like Aisha said, he's going to be on a rep count, understandably so. But it was reassuring to hear that Mike McCarthy said it's not a physical thing that he has to overcome anymore. It's more of the mental, get you back in the game mode mindset kind of thing. But coming up here after this first break that we're going to take, we're going to talk about some key matchups. Aisha is ready to go with this one. So we are going to come back to that. We will be right back here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, sponsored by Jigsaw, the official dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
If you have been thinking about weight loss surgery, My Bariatric Solutions has made it easier for you to schedule your initial consultation from the safety, comfort, and convenience of your own home. You'll meet one-on-one with the bariatric surgeon over a private and secure video call. You'll learn everything you need to know about the options available and which procedure is best for you. If you've been considering weight loss surgery and are ready to take the first step, call My Bariatric Solutions today at 844-326-6266. That's 844-326-6266, or go to mybariatricsolutions.com.
All right, Pepsi-loving football fans, it's time we had a lesson in trash talk. And I'm not talking about that stuff that happens on the field. What I'm talking about is trash, and it's the only thing that belongs in your garbage can. Now, recycling might not be as thrilling as converting a 4th and long, but next time you're thinking about throwing that Pepsi Zero Sugar bottle away, just cap it back up and pretend you're down by 6 with the recycling bin wide open. Know the difference? Make a difference. Be a team player and recycle. Visit PepsiTrashTalk.com to learn more.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Welcome back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, sponsored by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. If I can get that out, I'll get that right before the show is over. But
You got this,
before
girl.
we start,
All right. Well, make sure to join NFL players for our first mini game day camp presented by Invisalign. Drop the kids off at Ford Center on October 2nd from 11:30 to 3:30 while you watch the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Commanders game from your favorite restaurant at the Star District. Sounds delicious. Now, to register your footballer for camp, you can visit DallasCowboys.com/academy. Oh my goodness. Hello. It is Friday. We're struggling today, y'all.
And that's why I'm not reading them yet. Y'all ain't about to catch me slipping.
Y'all got it. All right. Well, we are back and we're talking all about key matchups. Ladies, where are we even starting with this? There's a lot of good stuff.
Well, I think we were going to start talking about the DBs because it seems like they're going to have opportunity. Well, I would hope they had opportunity with this defensive line applying pressure to Daniel Jones. What you got, Hayley?
yeah, I just think this is a really good opportunity for Cooper Rush to kind of flex the muscles a little bit, right? I think that one of the things that was spoken about last week was just Cooper's confidence going into the game. And I think this is a chance for him to do that a little bit more when you're exploiting a position group that maybe hasn't looked so good through 2 games of the season. I said it earlier on our Cowboys flashback show. The Giants are 2-0, but they are not perfect. And I think that is an area, the defensive back, the secondary is really an area where these wide receivers like CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, Michael Gallup, fingers crossed, really can kind of get a chance to make some big plays.
Yeah, and they have some guys back there. Obviously, Xavier McKinney, their safety, he's not afraid to come down and tackle. He flies, sideline to sideline as well. And then Julian Love is a guy that they use. Actually, he showed up on the injury report yesterday with the clavicle.
Let's see.
And that's actually very interesting to me because he's a guy that they actually rushed to get pressure quite a few times last game. And so I am very interested to see how that clavicle maybe affects him. Maybe you go at that matchup. You saw early last week that the Cowboys saw that Eli Apple was one of the focal points to go at the defense. So I'm hoping that they come out early and go at those matchups. But when I was talking about the DBs, I was talking about the Cowboys DBs. I was talking about these safeties over here.
That makes more sense.
These amazing safeties over here.
Right.
We're here to give y'all like a wide-rounded perspective. So, no. All right, Aisha, let us have it. What are you seeing these DBs on this side over here with the star?
No. So if you look at kind of how the Giants are starting to run their offense, they want to play off the run. They do want to lean on the run. But with this new coaching staff, they aren't afraid to kind of, put it out there and take chances. They do want them to, it sounds like they do want them to play a little bit more free. And with that, Daniel Jones isn't afraid to make some mistakes. So I am really looking at like Sterling Shepard is their go-to guy. You want to say down the field. They've been getting Kenny Sills a little bit more involved. Richie James is a guy that they has stepped up and that they're beginning to use more in their offense. So when I look at the Cowboys secondary, I ask like what they do well. All of these guys have yak ability. So the Cowboys are going to have to come out and tackle well again like they did last week. But then also like the safety play to me is going to be intricate. I'm really hoping that one of the safeties gets an interception this game. Donovan Wilson had one, last week.
Yeah.
Fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's one of somebody in the secondary is gonna get a pick this game, and I'm curious to see who it is because Malik Hooker is knocking on the door, and then Trayvon was everywhere last week. So we'll see. I want to see the Cowboys DBs come out and play sticky, and I think they're gonna have the ability to because the pressure that I think they should be sure of the pressure that the Cowboys defensive line is going to be able to get.
All right, so who are you keeping an eye on that's going to have that interception first? We're going to manifest that there's multiple, right?
Okay.
But who is it? Who has your first interception of the game? No pressure at all.
Okay, hopefully I'm rocking nobody's socks. Let's say Anthony Brown.
Oh.
And I'm going to say Anthony Brown.
All right,
Barnacles.
I like that.
Okay, well, I'm going to say
that.
Anthony Brown because quiet as kept, he had a fantastic game last week.
Yeah.
You
He did.
hear his name like that, and when you don't hear his name, that's all right. But he was going against the T. Higgins, and there were favorable matchups, I guess, for the Bengals a couple of times, but he was really he wasn't giving up much in coverage last game. I also think that Daniel Jones being a younger quarterback and getting picked off by Trayvon last year, I think that maybe he may be not trying to look his way. And so if he is going to go up the matchup of Anthony Brown, I want Anthony Brown to capitalize there. So we'll see how that is, but that's my guy.
All right, Hayley, who's your guess? No pressure. No one's putting any pressure on anybody for this answer, right? Who's your guess?
I'm gonna be cliche. You gotta go with Trayvon, right? You just have to. Like after the season he had last year, tying the franchise with 11 interceptions. I mean, like. He's got to be the guy, right? I mean, and it's so interesting, too, to see his development as a player. I mean, like, the thing that people have been joking about is, like, his ability to tackle right now and the fact that he got that big third down stop from a tackle. You talk about him so differently. You know, we're so used to saying, like, he's going to be the guy to get the pick. But now he's like, hey, I'm going to get the tackle, too, to shut it down.
You
know what I mean?
Get you a guy that can do both.
Exactly.
You love them. You love those versatile men.
Yeah. I just think, like, it would kind of send a statement. It would kind of remind everybody, like, hey, like, don't forget what I did last year, and I'm going to continue to do it again this year.
Sure. And I think Trayvon has, oh, man, we were just talking about this. He was so close last week. He was so close. So I think that's a good guess. I'm going to go with Donovan Wilson because everybody has slept on Donovan Wilson for a minute. And you know what? The first game against the Bucs, I was honed in on this man. I was like, all right, show me something. He has looked so great this season.
Yes.
It really looks like he is stepping up. And stepping into really himself. You can see he's playing more confidently. He's playing with more of a confident demeanor than I think we've seen in years past. So I'm going to go Donovan Wilson. I think that's important. But something else I wanted to mention here that I'm really looking into these key matchups. No, here's my key matchups: the Cowboys against the penalties.
Yes.
That's my key matchup for the week. I do not want to see the penalties, the pre-snap penalties, any penalties that essentially cost the Cowboys points on the board or allow the Giants to get points on the board. Because you saw very well last week, Cincinnati had 6 points on the board that were from penalties. They stemmed from a penalty, and I think 6 points is too many. And anytime you have a game that's coming down to that many points being decided on penalties, that's how you know it's time to clean it up. And it's been time to clean it up. So my key matchup is the Cowboys versus the penalties. I don't want to see it this week.
And that's actually, I'm glad that you said that. This is also a Giants team that I think doesn't play well from behind.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to give them the opportunities. Also, last game, like if the Cowboys defense generates any type of turnover, really hoping the Cowboys can capitalize off of it because
no penalties. No penalties.
Not me traumatized over here. But that's funny. But some other key matchups, we haven't mentioned his name yet, but Micah Parsons.
I mentioned him earlier.
Moving across this offensive line. Yes, you did. Yeah, absolutely. So moving across this offensive line, Evan Neal is the right tackle, if I'm not mistaken, and he's had some good games, but he does. If Micah can catch him at the line of scrimmage, I think he may give him some trouble there. And then you have the other gentleman on the other side. I'm sorry, I cannot remember his name right now. I don't want to mess it up. Let's see. Chicken nuggets.
That's a new one.
Who's he?
Andrew Thomas.
You're going to have people tweeting you asking you what chicken nuggets is compared to tater tots.
But Andrew Thomas, the left tackle there, I'm not sure if they're going to send Mike over there because he's a pretty good left tackle, but I am just really curious to see how Dan Quinn attacks this interior of the Bucs offensive line because I think that their tackles are steady enough. So let's just see. Let's see if they bring extra people to help him out, extra tight ends or whatever the case may be.
So speaking of Andrew Thomas, Brian Double actually talked about him in his press conference on Thursday, and he said that his speed of the game is quicker this year. He's a captain. This is his third year. He's really stepped up to become, it seems like, a locker room leader this season. He's consistent, he's dependable, and he's just a good leader overall. He's playing more confidently, so I'm glad you brought that up. But what's funny is I talked about this 2 weeks in a row, is Micah Parsons is a guy that cannot keep his name out of people's mouths. I mean, this is, and I think we're going to see this all season, is every head coach that has done their press conferences up until this point has mentioned Micah by name as being the threat. When they're asked, what is the biggest threat the Dallas Cowboys have? It's such an easy answer for them. Micah Parsons, he's so versatile, and he confuses defenses. And I think if Micah is going to have a game, this could be the game to have it with. That O-line, given it's on when it's on, it's off when it's off, I mean, they looked like they were easy to collapse in some of those games. So I think if Micah can get in early, and that's the key, is getting in early to start putting pressure on Daniel Jones, putting pressure, Daniel Jones is going to scramble, and you're going to put him in a position for a sack. So, I really expect Micah to have one, if not multiple sacks during this game. So, of course, we have to show love to the Lion over here. Yes. But other key matchups, ladies, anything else that you're really looking to watch for in this game as far as those go?
Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, those guys, you could see there's an uptick in their snaps from week 1 to week 2. Those guys were able to generate pressure, be very disruptive, and also to Tank. He talked about in his interview how he sees that he's taking on the double teams and Micah's running free. Yeah. And that's different that has to be so different for him. But he seems so humble about the fact that just knowing like Micah is the guy right now and whatever. But when you have a guy, that's the guy that allows other guys to do what they need to do. So I expect for this defensive line to get busy this weekend.
And this D-line needs to get busy because they have Saquon Barkley to face.
Yeah, the DTs.
And you know what? I think what's going to be interesting is Barkley is great this year. We talked about this yesterday. Yeah. I mean, he's coming fresh off of his rehab and his time off. He looks good. He looks great. And the thing is very much similar to the Cowboys offense. They find their rhythm when I feel Zeke is going. Zeke's pounding that pocket. He's getting those runs. And maybe they're little, 3-4 yard runs with his carries, over and over. But that stacks up the yardage. And so I think with Barkley, what is scary about him is he has that quickness and the ability to get you those 17 to 20-yard runs.
Big play.
And that is what gets them going. You go back and on these game notes that I've been writing, oh my goodness, it's almost consistently you see when he has those big burst throughs of the pocket, that is when Daniel Jones finds that rhythm, and they more than likely capitalize and score off of that drive. So something to watch out for.
Yeah, you got to limit the big run with them.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing with them is that Saquon, they'll have like 3 yards a carry, 3 yards a carry, 3 yards a carry, and then he breaks a big one. And then the defense is stressed out now. So they're backing up, and then you're trying to adjust. So I think if the run defense can keep them at bay and also just not allow Saquon to get to the second level, then you can have some success there, hopefully,
Yeah, and I think what makes the Giants really difficult on offense as well. When we talk about Saquon, it's not just that you can bank on Saquon making a big play, right? It's that the play calling this year for the Giants has been so all over the place. I mean, if you look at them down the stretch, it's like when they're lining up at times they should be passing. They're handing the ball off, and then when the times they're supposed to be running, they're throwing. And so I think. I mean, I can imagine like that in itself is frustrating. Like, okay, so here we are, we're trying to prepare for, what we're seeing schematically on defense. And now all of a sudden you have to almost like trick your brain into being like so open-minded because as cliche as it sounds, like you don't know what to expect. And so I think that also kind of makes this Giants team a bit of a threat.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I guess the game in itself, this is the most interested I've been to watch a Cowboys-Giants game in a minute now. Like, just if we're just being 100% honest, this game, like, just because of the pretenses that these two different teams are coming in here on, like, they do have a new coaching staff. And I'm not going to knock Brian Dable and Mike Kafka for what they're doing over there. They are trying to implement a new culture and stuff there, and the way that they're playing football is different than what it was before. It is a lot more fluid. Defensively, they are substituting, they're doing different packages, they're disguising. Like, this does look like a different team, so I do understand the aspect of, like, we don't know what we're going to get. We just going to go in here and look.
It's very similar to 2021 Cowboys vibes and even 2020, trying to reestablish the culture. And like I talked about yesterday, I think that's what makes the Giants a little bit scarier than a lot of people want to give them credit for, because once that's established, they do have playmakers on this team. They have depth. I don't know, guys. Don't sleep on the Giants and don't think that this is going to be an easy win for either team by any means. But with that, we have more to talk about. We haven't even touched special teams, ladies, so we'll get to that after this break. This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, brought to you by Jigsaw, the official dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, Pepsi-loving football fans, it's time we had a lesson in trash talk. And I'm not talking about that stuff that happens on the field. What I'm talking about is trash, and it's the only thing that belongs in your garbage can. Now, recycling might not be as thrilling as converting a 4th and long, but next time you're thinking about throwing that Pepsi Zero Sugar bottle away, just cap it back up and pretend you're down by 6 with the recycling bin wide open. Know the difference? Make a difference. Be a team player and recycle. Visit PepsiTrashTalk.com to learn more.
If you have been thinking about weight loss surgery, My Bariatric Solutions has made it easier for you to schedule your initial consultation from the safety, comfort, and convenience of your own home. You'll meet one-on-one with the bariatric surgeon over a private and secure video call. You'll learn everything you need to know about the options available and which procedure is best for you. If you've been considering weight loss surgery and are ready to take the first step, call My Bariatric Solutions today at 844-326-6266. That's 844-326-6266, or go to mybariatricsolutions.com.
With Smoothie King's original Angel Food and new Angel Food Slim without added sugar, you no longer have to choose between treating yourself and hitting your goals this summer. You don't have to choose between great taste and feeling great. Because at Smoothie King, every blend is made with whole fruits and no syrups, so you can satisfy your cravings without compromise. The only choice you will need to make is which one is best for you. Try our classic Angel Food or the new Angel Food Slim, blended without added sugar. Smoothie King, rule the day.
Welcome back to Girls Talk, Boys Talk, sponsored by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Before we get into special teams, let's go over to Jess.
All right. Well, are you a Cowboys fan who spices up the game? Sounds fun. Well, nominate yourself or a friend to be the Cowboys Fan of the Year presented by Captain Morgan and win a trip to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. Nominate yourself or a friend at dallascowboys.com/fan of the year. I think I know a few people I could nominate. We'll see. Well, I'll think about it. We'll see how they react after the Giants game. But, all right, ladies, so we left off on special teams because I think really the Cowboys special teams hasn't gotten enough credit as I think they should be getting for the last 2 weeks, and how essentially they helped win both. They helped win last week, but they carried the Bucs game anyways, my point is, special teams, do not sleep on the special teams on either side of the ball. Aisha, what have you noticed from the Cowboys special teams from week 1 to week 2? And what is something you're really looking forward to seeing them do come week 3?
I'm ready for another blocked punt.
Yes.
Or kick of some sort. Like, Christy came on and talked about the milliseconds, how they matter and stuff. Mm-hmm. And if my eyes aren't deceiving me, Matt Owen, Professor O, shout out to you, he pointed out to me that the Giants have worked 3 long snappers this week. So I don't know if this is something that they are looking into, but when you start talking about a game of, seconds and milliseconds, we'll see how that affects what's going on with them when they're, kicking the ball. I think that this could be a potentially low-scoring game for both sides. You may see the Giants kicking a lot of field goals. So I think there's going to be opportunities there for C.J. Goodwin or Simi Fehoko, who was very close last week as well. These gentlemen are right there. So I'm ready because that happened last year. Special teams was dominant in some areas, made some big plays, blocked some field goals, blocked some punts. And I'm ready to see, them do that in this game.
And you know what I think a point of emphasis with the Giants as a whole is getting the ball out. You see with defense, you see it with special teams. They recovered that fumble on the first kickoff of the game versus the Panthers. Mm-hmm. They recovered it. And that set the tone, really, I think, for the rest of the game, saying like, hey, we're coming out here and this is what we're doing. So I think special teams is going to have to continuously play like they've been. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Brett Maher because we got to show some love to it. Oh, you know what? And I will be the first to say, yes, I was a Brett Maher doubter, but he has done what he's needed to do up until this point. And I think we're seeing a completely different player than we saw last time he was in Dallas. He's more distinguished. He's more established. I feel just he has a calmer demeanor to him. And it's almost a force to be reckoned with. Okay. Brett Money Maher. I got to back him because at the end of the day, if it was not for him, who knows if the Cowboys would have won last week.
What you got, Hayley?
Yeah, I think I've got something, but touching on the Brett Maher, I feel like it's I don't want to say easy because kicking, I think, is one of the hardest parts of the game of football. But I think for him, very similar to Cooper Rush, this is kind of a situation where he's kind of like, look, I've been here before, didn't work out one time.
Facts.
So I'm going to do my best to make sure it works out this time, but if it doesn't, no harm, no foul. I've been here before. And I think, when you have that sort of approach, it maybe takes the pressure off of you a little bit because you don't always feel like those clutch moments where the game's on the line and you're kicking a 50-yard field goal. Yeah. It doesn't feel as constricting.
Playing with house money.
Yeah. Because, okay, cool. I've been here. I made this mistake before or I've made this play before. So I think talking about Brett Maher, I think he's just playing a little bit more relaxed. He feels a lot more relaxed in the locker room. So
that's good to hear.
I do want to see him a little bit more clutch closer to the field or to the goalpost, though. I don't want to feel like if we're at the 30 that it's a 50-50. It's cool that he's money from 50 out.
That veering right was a little worrisome.
I want to feel a little bit more comfortable closer, but I'm sure that's just one of those things where right now he's had 3 kicks this year and that's just been the draw. So that's my Brett Maher take.
As for special teams, was there anything that you really want to see from them? And what is something that you think that special teams has brought maybe this year compared to other years with the Cowboys that they haven't?
Kevon Tibato.
Ooh, yeah. I was waiting for it. Girl, you were on the same wavelength.
Kevon Tibato. I have never seen him in person, before until yesterday. I've only obviously seen him on the broadcast. And he is like Mighty Mouse, y'all. I mean, like, he is so strong, and his personality, you know, you can just tell that this is a guy who is so excited to not only just be in the building, but the fact that he is making such an impact. And every time he gets that ball, whether it's a punt or a kickoff, like, everybody is literally willing him, you know, just willing and watching and hoping. And I don't know that the Cowboys have really had a returner like that. Not in recent times. No. I mean, this is a guy where, and shout out to the USFL. My best friend Madison works for the USFL, so I love that her players are getting this opportunity. But just to be able, it almost feels like that JUCO making it to the NFL, but this is a different layer to it, you know? So just to show other guys too that, like, hey, just because you're taking a different path doesn't mean you can't make an impact. And he is making an impact. I mean, in the game last week,
those were huge.
One less tackle, and he's through. Yeah, you know. So that to me is the key to special teams. I mean, give Brett all the kicks you want, but Kevon Tibato is going to be the guy that's going to carry you.
You know, it's funny is in the locker room, they asked him, so do you think this is going to be the week you take it home? He's like, yeah. And they're like, well, why do you think this week? He goes, I think about it every play.
Every time.
Every time I get the ball, there's going to be a big play. That's just what I believe in. I love that mindset. I think it shows.
We talked about it yesterday. If you go look at the last couple games with the Giants, their coverage on returns is not the best. Chuba Hubbard tore them up. Kyle Phillips tore them up. I mean, these guys, Trent Cannon got them a couple times. There should be opportunity there. So you might get some help also from Brian Anger, who's been punting that thing and pinning guys deep. Just another extension of this defense to be able to play free and really force an offense like the Giants to drive the length of the field. Just puts you in a better position. I'm excited. Like, special teams has kind of balanced like this past game. I think it really balanced out the lack of offensive efficiency that you got in the second half. So, you know, it's what is it called? Complimentary football.
Complimentary football. Also, I really love that, you know, after week one, we were talking, you know, why isn't Turbo Turpin getting his reps in with the offense during the game? We saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, they tried.
We saw a little bit of sprinkling him in. So I'm going to be curious to see if he sprinkled in a little bit more this week. I'm also going to be curious to see how many ball touches Zeke and Tony Pollard both get. I think establishing the run is something that we didn't really mention, but is obvious that the Cowboys need to do. So, how about offense, ladies? Any quick last minute
which I think the score
views for the offense?
I don't do score predictions.
I don't either.
For score predictions.
I don't either. I think if they can keep the score low, then they did it right. And Aisha is just.
It's Friday, y'all.
It's Friday. We're having a day. Yeah. It's okay. But yeah, I think getting the run established is something I'm looking forward to. So my last question, and we're going to go around the table, is what player, it can be special teams, offense, defense, do you want to have a good game, a breakout game, or grow on what they did the last couple of weeks? Haley, I'm going to start with you, my girl. Go first.
I want Cooper Rush to have a good game.
Okay.
After the circus act that was Jerry Jones yesterday and the Mike McCarthy putting those rumors to bed that Dak Prescott is their quarterback, I want Cooper to have a breakout game. I mean, like, could you imagine this? It would be all hell.
I'm not in the mood. I'm not even in the mood for it.
But I mean, how cool would that be, right? Second straight start in his career. He's already, you know, checked the boxes of picking up that first win of the season. And then you have your owner saying that he wants quarterback controversy, and here's your backup quarterback coming in. So that's what I'm looking for.
For me, it's going to be Matt Farniok.
Oh, how did I know? Well, I knew you were going to do that.
If Jason Peters doesn't come in and play, I don't know what's going on over there. But if that's the case, then Matt Farniok, you know, he's just going to have to come out and play again, and hopefully they bring some guys over there to help him. But he is being inserted into this position that he hasn't really touched like that. I thought he was better at center, of course. So I'm just looking at his progression in this game, you know, because we're seeing how he's learning and how he's doing. I would say Tyler, but we already know what he's going to do.
Yeah, and we just touched base on my guy. Kevontae Turpin.
Yep.
I want to see him take it home.
He was understood.
I want to see him take it back. I want to see more Kevontae Turpin turning on his Jets.
We are Team Turbo.
Team Turbo over here.
Y'all
but
are obsessed.
that is who I want to see have a good game, more of a breakout game for the regular season, if you will. So real quick, some pass interference. The Cowboys hold a 48-35 Monday Night Football record and will be making their 84th appearance on Monday Night Football this week against the Giants. Only Miami has 86 games and has appeared on Monday Night Football more, and that is your pass interference. So, ladies, next time we speak, we're going to know if this team is going to be 2-1 or 1-2.
I hope I'm in a good mood, y'all.
I know.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Girls Talk, Boys Talk with Aisha. Hayley, thank you so much for joining us. You're going to be seeing more of her on here as well. And Jess over here, we are so excited. And thank you again for listening. We'll talk to y'all on Tuesday.
Have a good weekend.
Yeehaw.
Have a good one.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!